right. Good evening, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. I certainly am. I'm excited to be here. We have an awesome show on tap for you guys today. Our guest is Dr. Brock. Okay. Let me read a little bit about this gentleman. All right. Dr. Brock has a Doctorate of Spiritual Science and holds a postgraduate degree in advanced ministerial counseling. He is an ordained minister, a certified Polarity Therapist, and a fully accredited advanced biofeedback practitioner. We're going to get into all that stuff. I'm super excited. I can't wait. Also, Dr. Laurence Brock has had a near-death experience. This is one of the things I really want to dig into. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very curious about what happens like after the death part. You know, what kind of experiences we have, and I'm super excited to get into that with Dr. Brock. While he was in process, he went into heaven, he saw Jesus and tapped into all-knowing and loving God. So he came to 3 days later, spiritually awoke with abilities to heal, with a strong belief that everything is all right and good, and a new mission in life to learn more about the spirit realm and healing, and use that information and everything he got to help others. Okay. So for 35 years, Dr. Brock has had successful practice as a counselor, energy healer, and spiritual intuit. He says that his journey of learning to heal has been a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awareness. He has had the great opportunity to study with some world-renowned mystical teachers from many traditions who have assisted in further awakening and special healing ability within him. This is awesome. Okay. I would love to have even just a fraction of that resume. Guys, if you want to check him out, what you want to do is go to www.laurencebrock.com. And some of the stuff is going to be already posted in the links in the descriptions of these videos. So you're going to want to go check that out. Guys, also, if you haven't done it already, please head over to YouTube, Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video when we do go live. Also, head over to WLFEDBradio.com. All right, check out the website. There's merchandise. It's beautiful. Guys, great stuff over there. Also, there's 100 different Facebook pages you can go to. WLFEDB Facebook page. Go ahead and like and follow those pages. Also, Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Holy cow, a ton of places you can go to watch us when we do go live. So, guys, without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. I don't want to waste a minute. This is going to be exciting. I'm going to bring in the star and the guest here, Dr. Laurence Brock. Hey, Doc, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm super excited.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, we're going to start from the very beginning of this. So okay. Tell us a little bit about just where you come from, who you are, and how did all this stuff get started for you?
That's a good question. So I was born in Port Chester, New York, in Westchester, just about 20 miles north of New York City in the suburbs. And, definitely my near-death experience was a really big, I call it a kick in the butt to get me to honor and respect and take my spiritual journey seriously. I can look back to things, I guess a big part of it was I was a total jock as a kid and loved to play basketball, and just some of the magical things that happened. And I also was a good high jumper, and I remember the first time I jumped above my height, it just felt, and I'm 5'10", so I jumped 5'10", which back then was like a big thing. Now it's like not, but just those magical things that happened all through my life. And I would have never even called them spiritual really until after my near-death experience and starting to learn about spiritual things. So, But I was a suburban kid, upper middle class family. My youth was, good. I had a good life, lived in a nice place, and loved to play basketball. I didn't do so well in school, and I joke around until I started paying for school. That's when I took it seriously.
Hey, I can vouch for you on that one. I hated school. I was like that weird, awkward little kid in school. I was like, just stay away from me. I want to stay in my own little corner. And the friends that I did have, and it was a very small group of friends, but they were very good to me. And I always took that with me. Like I was the easy kid to bully in school.
Oh, really?
But, after, the friends that were good to me in school, I'm still friends with them today and still communicate with them. So it is a blessing.
Yeah, I was kind of big for my age then, but my best friend was someone who was kind of small and easy to bully, and I protected him a lot, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dom says, hey, it's great seeing you.
Hey, yep. Hey.
Gretchen says, welcome.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And there's Tom. Hey, this is Tom. He's the one of the owners of BB3 TV. I'm not sure if you've ever
I don't think I have. No. How you doing, Tom?
So great guys, great team over there. So let's talk about this near-death experience, because this fascinates me. Okay, of all the things that I enjoy talking about, this one thing in particular really stands out as something. Like, there's a lot of questions, like what happens. Like, I mean, I want to know everything about this experience. So you said this was a terrible vehicle accident.
It was, yes, and I guess part of it is in one way you can't really know everything. I can tell you the story, but the part that is really miraculous, it's hard to put into words even these days, even this many years later. And when I say that to people, they seem to understand those. Everyone has certain experiences in their life that transcend our thoughts, and this is definitely one of them. But so I was living in Colorado at the time, and my parents I'm actually at my dad's place now in Rye Brook, New York, which is where maybe a mile or two from here is where my parents lived then.
Okay.
But I came back. My roommate in Colorado was also a childhood friend, so we both came back together to see our parents. And I don't, thinking about it, I don't even know how we found out someone was having a party, because it wasn't cell phones and everything. Now you find out everything. So we found out one of our high school friends was having a party. So we, went to it, and we were drinking and doing some other things that shouldn't be driving. And, back then I wouldn't think twice about I don't drink now, but I wouldn't think twice about drinking and driving back then. It just wasn't a thing, First of all, there weren't so many cars around. But let's see. So we drove back from Colorado. So we probably drove for like 2 days straight. We each went to our parents' house, and we came in his car. So he dropped me off at my parents' house, and we, rested for a while before the party. He did come to pick me up, but I realized I could take my mom's car. So we drove separately to the party. I was there. There was a young lady who was having the party that I thought was kind of cute. And I was a little high, or what I thought was a little high. But I kind of mocked it up a little bit more to be able basically to leave my car there so I could go back the next day and flirt with the girl.
Oh,
and, yes. Almost all the way back to my parents' house, I remembered my sister needed the car the next day. So I said to my friend, bring me back. That, in one way, obviously the near-death part of it was a very cool thing. The car accident was not. But I went back to the party. I can still remember part of that. I definitely still have an image in my mind. So I went into the party to tell the young lady that I was taking my car, and I still have the vision of walking toward the door. And, when I think about it, it was like when you're drunk and things look a little too colorful and a little hazy kind of thing.
Probably not a good idea to drive.
Probably not.
Good indication.
I was in my 20s and invincible. So
of course,
I don't remember anything after. I don't even remember leaving the house. The next thing I remember was I was out of my body, above, seeing the car, seeing my body, and obviously I had crashed. I wasn't aware of that at all. My body was like sitting on the ground, leaning against a tree. There was a police officer crouching over me. I assume he pulled me out of the car. I never got to check that part.
So, okay, really quick. I'm going to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask some questions as we're going here, because I'm already fascinated. So when you have the accident, you're completely unaware of this at this point. You've blacked out, and instantaneously you're out of your body. So, I mean, or what kind of a time span are we talking? Was there any sense of time at this point?
There was no sense of time about that whatsoever. Whether, some people ask me, did it hurt to leave your body, or all? I can remember walking toward the door. then I remember being out of my body. Whatever happened in between, I don't have no recollection of whatsoever.
Oh, wow. So the whole driving, getting in the car, driving, the whole thing, you must have been toast.
I must have been. Plus, I mean, I banged my head very hard, so that might have something to do with it.
Right.
Too.
So is that, you think this was like a traumatic brain injury? Now, let me ask you this. Okay. There are people that, I mean, in trying to argue this, okay, trying to see both sides of the fence on this one, so to speak. What do you think? Do you think it's possible that your experience was just caused by the brain injury? Could this have been the electrons firing in your mind, memory, something, or was this really definitely a profound, like almost tangible experience?
Well, I know, to me it was, and I also know something changed in me, just becoming so interested in that stuff, and some things changed so one thing that changed is when I would touch people after that, my hands would become very warm almost instantly. And it wasn't just me, other people could feel it. Mm-hmm. And I just started to become more intuitive. It was in a different time. Like now, those experiences, like you could look them up online and say what's going on, and people might describe it, but I had nothing to compare it to. But my life, even, I knew some things happened before that, like I said, playing sports, but I became very interested in this kind of stuff. And so after the accident, my mom convinced me, actually she bribed me by buying me a new Jeep to come back east. And so I was sitting in my apartment and someone knocks on the door and there was this beautiful woman at the door. And it's just, things started happening in my life. She introduced me to the spiritual teacher and, things just started lining up in a different direction. So that part I know. And when people say, do you know, could it have been the accident? Could it have been the drinking? Could it have been this? I still have a very vivid memory of that. And even when I think about it, there's feelings that go with it. And my heart starts to move and they're just like I kind of tap into something. So my experience after is, there's no denying that part.
Right.
When you're asking me that question, there's no way to prove that, to me.
It's tough. That's tough.
It's like having a dream, when it's real. So to me, it was a real experience, but there's no way.
Right. But what's left is you were left, when you came out of this experience, you were left with something more. You were given something while you were there. And we'll get to that. So now you're hovering above your body. What do you see? Like, what are you looking at?
Well, first I felt very neutral, that my body was smashed and my head was, I have the scar, it goes all the way back. So my head was kind of open and it just seemed like I just understood it was okay, I just had a feeling everything was okay.
No fear.
It felt no fear, nothing like that. Just like going for a walk on a beautiful summer day kind of feeling.
Is that right?
I just seem to see, even now I start to say it, I can connect into this stuff and I start to see things in my mind. But so I was looking this way, there was a big tree there, the car was smushed, and I had a picture, a Polaroid that's probably somewhere that I can't find. If you look at it, you can't imagine anyone surviving. Behind me, I was all in white light. Down there, it was dark. And then behind me, there was like a big circle of a different shade of white. And then like a human outline in a different, like white radiating light. Mm-hmm. Then the being behind me said, "You have to go back. Your father wants you to stay."
So so now you're having this profound experience. Yeah. You've left your body. You're looking at yourself. What does somebody think when what is going through your mind when you're seeing this?
Right? Is it even my mind? It all just seems so normal. Like you're saying, this profound experience at the time, it just seemed, this is the way things are. And
you felt no pain, nothing.
No pain whatsoever. No.
That's fascinating to me. It's fascinating because, we have such an experience. Like if you cut our finger, we feel that. We feel the cut on our finger. We're bleeding, and or we break a knuckle, or it's very painful. And I've been in vehicle accidents more than I like. And I've broken my wrist. I've got a titanium plate holding this one together. I broke my neck. Very painful experiences. So it's really hard. Like but I wasn't. Well, yeah, I guess I was knocked unconscious from a motorcycle accident. But I woke up with my face in the dirt. The first thing I thought was, well, this is how that happens. That's what I thought. I said, I'm laying there with my face in the mud. I'm like, this is it. Well, that wasn't so bad. So, all right. When, like, how long? I mean, again, time's a linear thing when you're on this plane. So
I don't really know how long it actually was. It didn't seem that long, but it was, again, all the things you're asking are normal human concerns. Like I didn't have those concerns. It's just everything seemed, or sometimes people say, did you have a choice to stay there? I didn't even think of that. Just the voice said, go back. And it just seemed, okay, everything's right. So I went back.
Did you feel that you were in the presence? Okay. So you said you went into heaven. At what point did that happen?
The describing of it came after. Okay. So this what happened. I was in the white light. The circle of white light, and the being was behind me. It just felt, I don't know, like everything was right. And not just everything was right there, just the earth was right. Everything was just right and proper. And even I say that, and I just start to feel this opening up and it just like a beautiful summer day. Like actually, it felt a little warmer, but the last few days here in the Northeast were these days where it felt like the most beautiful temperature waters on your skin when you're outside. That's kind of what it felt like, just the perfect day.
Gotcha.
And so, but even the part of saying your father wants you to go back, I knew it wasn't my physical father. I knew that was God. So in that, I knew that there was a God. The part of even describing, saying it was in heaven came after. Okay. A big part of it was after that woman came, knocked on my door. She was a sister of a good friend of mine, but it was like out of nowhere. And she started talking to me about this stuff and introduced me to this Sufi sheikh, who's a spiritual teacher, Sufism. And he started to talk to me first about Mary and Jesus. And he would talk about the ocean of divine love and benevolence. And when he started talking about these things, he said he would describe how much love Mary had for God, that she let the Christ energy in. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's what I felt, that love for God, and let that energy in. And when he talked about Jesus, I got that being behind me was Jesus. Just the feeling of it in my body, in my mind, and there's something like this little sparkly smile that comes inside of me, and that was all that. He talked about the ocean of divine love and benevolence, and I knew that was around me. That's how the words came after. But even now I say that, and I get all excited inside. I go, that's it.
Now, I mean, this is cool. I mean, this is an incredible experience, and this is very similar to other near-death experiencers I've talked to. We're going to have a gentleman on the show, and this is in the works right now. He's a really great guy. He's got an incredible story. He's writing a book about it, and I'm not going to mention his name just yet, but he's had an incredible experience, and I've spent hours on the phone with him. Just listening to this, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear the story, because it's just like yours. It's so similar, but he also talked about this overwhelming, intense love. I mean, and it's the experience of love, the way that God intended us to experience love in the first place. This is the way God wants us to experience love.
That's what I think too. For me, it wasn't overwhelming, intense. It was just, like I said, just really nice, and it was almost like, it was, I don't know, it was obtainable, and like, in the beginning, I would just say everything was okay. That would describe it. But just imagine if everything was okay, like, nothing to worry about. And it's just that's that gentle love that comes in, like you just know, wow, I'm good,
Right. Now, Gretchen says that it's like a peaceful calm.
It is, yes.
Okay. Now, all right, I have to do this.
Okay.
I am a Christian. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised a Catholic. All right. Yeah. I made conscientious decision not to continue down that road anymore. I just didn't feel that was my way to connect with God. Yeah. All right. So, and we'll leave all the other stuff out of it, but that's really the essential part of why I decided to leave the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Now, as a Christian, all right, the Bible says, and I can't sit here and quote scripture to you. I'm not that kind of a Christian, but it does say in there at some point that God is the only person, the only entity, or the only being that has the ability to heal. Yeah. So how are Christians like myself and other Christians who might come across this and say, well, he calls himself a healer? How can that be? Because really the power to do that only comes from God.
Well, that's a good question. And in a certain way, I don't really know, but I can tell you my experience. And you talk about that. I mean, Jesus had the power to heal, and he was a human.
He was the Son of Man.
Right. So there's, so those skills sort of bumped up in me during my near-death experience, but I've also spent all this time studying this. And when I think about calling myself a healer 10 years ago compared to now, it's like, I don't know, it just, the more I study, the more I open to God, and it is kind of like God coming through. And I mean, it is cool. I had, I work with people all over the world, and they feel it. I mean, I just think it's the coolest thing, and I think there is part of it of loving the qualities in me that are gifts from God. So it is kind of, step up and love the gifts God has given you. That's my perspective. And that's what I do. And it helps people. People used to say, how do you know it's not all in their head? And I would say, I don't really know. And does that really matter? So, you're asking things. It's fun to talk about in one way. If someone gets better, I mean, it's just, right. It's the coolest thing in the world. And I look
of course it is.
Looking at it from the inside and the outside, it's just the coolest thing. So.
Absolutely. I can 110%. I totally agree. Yeah. I feel that what you're saying is, I can, in a sense, relate to that, so to speak, well, because I know what it feels like to help somebody.
There's the thing in the Bible that Jesus said, "This you shall do, and maybe even greater." And it's like, oh, that's, that gift. And Jesus is the one who brought in this whole new era of forgiveness and grace, and does say that that's available to us. So.
Yeah. Now, I like what Gretchen's saying here. She, God may not necessarily be an outside entity, but an entity within us all. I think that's, I mean, that's, look, I always like to quote a movie, and then quoting a movie and then putting that in the same realm as Christianity is like, why would you do that?
Well, if the spirit comes through, it comes through. That's all there is to it.
Exactly. Now, I quote Stigmata. All right. Have you ever seen that movie, Stigmata?
No. I know.
It's a very entertaining movie. It's got Gabriel Byrne, and what's her name? I forget her name. But anyway, it's a great movie. Name, right? So what it is, okay, there's a saying in there, and the whole thing is the church of the Catholic Church, doesn't want certain truths to be put out there because they don't want, they don't want their institution to be threatened, because the institution is a very big money-making organization. And it is. I mean, look at some of these mega churches. We don't even get into all this stuff, but again, this is truly off the cuff if we get into that. So, but it says the kingdom of God is inside you and all around you. Patricia Arquette, thank you. The kingdom of God is inside you and all around you. It's not in mansions of wood and stone. And I think I mixed this last part up a little bit because lift a stone and you will find me. Split a piece of wood and I am there. So to me, that is profoundly what I personally believe is the relationship that God wants you to have. It's not about going to a church. It's not about, pledging this, and that. It's between you and God. It's your relationship is between you and him, and knowing his word and knowing what he wants from you, so on and so forth. So that all being said, I personally believe that if God has wanted to give you this gift to become a healer,
Yeah.
who are we to say anything about it? Who's anybody to say anything about it? You had this profound experience. we say us, the living, who have stayed here and haven't entered that realm.
Yeah.
You had this experience. You've been given these gifts, and without having to or being even able to explain it, you can do these things. And
yes.
That's an incredible gift. And as long as, in my opinion, as a Christian, you're giving the glory to the person that belongs to.
Yeah.
Then who was anybody to say anything about it, right?
Yeah. My religious beliefs are very Christian, actually, and I definitely believe in Jesus and that he's the man, doing a lot of this stuff. The energy from Jesus comes in, it's like very powerful. So it's not separate from it, it's being part of it. And I think everything on this earth is, and with some things it's hard to see because there's some negative things, but everything comes from God. Every person has that inside of them.
Right. Okay, really quick. I hate to interrupt you. We have to run a commercial.
Go for it, yeah.
Let me run this. And guys, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about his near-death experience. But then what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what the abilities are, the things that he's been able to do after having experienced this near-death experience. Guys, stay tuned. You don't want to miss this stuff. I'm super excited to get into this. And if you haven't done it already, please, guys, hit that like and share button. And go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey, or WLFE/DB radio. Go check that out. Also, we are BB3 TV on Facebook. Like and share, guys, please. It helps us out immensely. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up, guys. Stick around. When we come back, we're going to have an awesome conversation about what this gentleman can do for you.
Gettysburg Ghost Exchange, the largest paranormal store in the Northeast, settled in Gettysburg, PA. Your one-stop ghost shop featuring the paranormal equipment, metaphysical items, and the Hands of Light Reiki. Equipment such as static pods, REM pods, spirit boxes, motion lasers, camcorders, night vision binoculars, lighting, voice recorders, and body cams. Other items such as sage, Palo Santo, gems, jewelry, salt lamps, candles, Deadly Grounds coffee, and oils. Paranormal investigations of Jenny Wade House, Haunted Orphanage, Historic 1912 Hoover House, David Stewart Farm. Gettysburg Ghost Exchange, 271 Baltimore Street, Gettysburg, PA, 17325. Contact us at 717-521-7465. Visit Historical Gettysburg and stop in and say hello.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam! There you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. Rochester Winter Parafest is back. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
All right. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I appreciate it. We're back with Dr. Brock. All right. I am super excited to get into this, these abilities that you have acquired. So when did you start? When did you realize that you have the ability to do more? I mean, was it something that you kind of just woke up and said, I can do this? Or,
No.
you did mention being when you touched somebody, your hands got warm, and maybe is that where the questions started coming in? Why is this happening?
Yes, it's my intuition. It definitely increased after my near-death experience. And even that, I just kind of dismissed it. I did have one specific experience. I was with a friend who somehow kind of pulled their calf, right above their ankle, the lower part of their calf. And I just had a feeling I could help by massaging it. And that's when I noticed my hands became warm and they felt better right away. Again, I didn't know what to make of it. It just seemed like I was massaging it. I had another experience where my next door neighbor, who I was friends with, his father, our families were friends. And so my friend's grandfather was kind of sick. And I was talking to the father and I said to him, I'll pray for him. This was after my near-death experience, maybe about 4 or 5 years. And I said to him, I'll pray for him. And I did. And I felt something happen. And again, I just dismissed it because it's like, I don't know what to make of it. Like nowadays, even it's in TV shows everywhere, people doing healing, you know what to think. The next time I saw him, I found out basically the grandfather, the doctors were saying he was going to die pretty much any minute, to where he lived a few months longer. And the father there said to me, I think something happened when you prayed. And I said, I do too. I felt something. I just had I had another car accident, not nearly as bad as my near-death experience. And
I'm starting to think that being around you in vehicles is a bad thing.
Well, hopefully that karma's over, and I think that
I hope so.
So, I I think about this for the interviews. So between Pretty Women and car crashes, it's kept me on the spiritual path a lot. So
good.
But this one I got in a car. I was in the electrical contracting business. I got in an accident. It was very minor, actually. A woman ran through a red light, and I swerved off the road to not get hit, and a rock hit the bottom of my van. It needed to be towed away, but there was really no damage. I didn't feel any damage to my body. I woke up the next morning, my back, shoulders, and back were just so tight. I knew part of it was from stress, part of it was from the accident. I took a vacation up in Vermont, and my friend there I was married at the time, we were visiting, suggested I try polarity therapy treatment. And I did. I didn't know what it was. I had a profound experience. Flashbacks from my childhood, a lot of emotions coming up. A funny story was I got off the table. I was going to complain to the woman because she said it was an hour long. I looked at the clock. I thought it was maybe 45 minutes. I was on the table for 3 hours. And
oh, wow.
Even though I was only in my, mid to late to early 20s, I just felt my body was very tight. And after that, it just felt way, way better. She knew someone near where I lived that did polarity. I got some sessions from her, and she said, I'm starting a class. I think you'll like it. So I started doing polarity. And again, I started to really notice the heat come in my hands and being really good at feeling the energy in people's body. And that was really the beginning of learning how to use the healing abilities that I had.
Okay, so what was your first? So, all right, you just told us your first experience, but when you decided to make this something like a profession, I mean, what made you so confident in this ability that said, I'm going to take this to the next level, and we're gonna make a career out of this? I mean, you got a doctorate in this stuff.
Well, that came later on, so that was. Most of it was not quite like I did know I wanted to do it. The construction
Okay.
business is good when you're working on good jobs with good people.
Yes, I know this.
A lot of times it's arguing about money with men. So that part I didn't like. And so I decided to give it a go. And I knew I helped people with polarity. And I'm trying to think of like the first, it just helped people. Some things were really quite profound where big shifts happened for people. I'm trying to think way back then. People just felt better. I didn't really work on extreme cases back then because I didn't really know that I could. So it was very gradual. I did that. I started studying with the Sufi sheikh, and he would say to me, "You're a sensitive." And I knew that was his code for being able to do that. He didn't really answer most of my questions. And it's almost like fumbling and bumbling through this miraculous thing that I don't really quite know how to explain. So.
Right, but you do it, and
Yes.
you've made impacts. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the other things that you do? Do you invite people to your home? Do you have an office, or is everything that you do kind of remote?
I do everything remote now. Once in a while, I go to people's homes, but it's mostly remotely. And I started that when my daughter was around 2 years old. So before that, I had an office in Stamford, Connecticut, and in Manhattan, and I would see people in person. So I learned how to do deep connective tissue massage, which some people know as Rolfing. So I did that, the polarity. Then I started studying crystal healing. I got into electronic devices. I mean, I've been, studying this and learning and hearing about cool things and learning that. So it's not just the magical thing that happened. It was also really learning how to direct that in a cool way.
Right. So can you explain what it is to be a polarity therapist? How does that work?
Polarity it's based on Ayurvedic medicine. So that's from India. And it's a very gentle form of kind of what people think of as acupressure, but it's very gentle. A lot of times it's just holding points. And it's polarity because you're balancing sometimes the left and right side body, but it be like there's a point here and one that connects to your elbow. So you hold these 2 points till these pulses come in and start to balance. It's similar to acupuncture where there's meridians and everything, and there's diet, there's exercise involved. It's a really complete system of healing.
And what is that system primarily used for? Is it physical healing or spiritual or emotional healing?
Yes,
or all of the above? Yes. The correct answer is yes. Okay.
Correct answer is yes. And I had so someone wrote I had rolling. I assume they meant Rolfing done. And it releases. It is that's so polarity is extremely gentle. I didn't study Rolfing, but something very similar. The deep connective tissue is very intense. And she's saying there, it hurts, but it breaks down the blocked muscle tissue and the connective tissue.
See, Laura is actually a previous guest, and she is like an astrologer, and she does Vedic astrology. So it's a very interesting subject, and she's in a sense, in her own way, she's kind of intuitive herself. And she's definitely great at what she does. She's awesome. You should definitely check her out and follow her on Facebook and YouTube, things like that. She's doing a lot of stuff, and she's very active. So definitely a great resource. But anyway, all right. So look, here's the thing.
Okay.
I am experiencing a lot of health problems. Like my liver is taking a crap. When you and I talked, you said that you yourself have seen like this aura around me. Can you explain that to these guys? Tell them, like, use me as a guinea pig, so to speak.
Okay, so it varies there's a lot of times there's energy around a person. Actually, I'm not seeing that for you right now, but it's let's see. So what I kind of do when I see people is I almost instantly can see this like pathway to health and happiness and spiritual awareness. And sometimes I can see part of what that involves. Sometimes it just looks like a line to there, and I don't know what that is. And that's what I'm looking for to begin with. Then when I start to work, like you asked me about it, and I just took a look, and there was some darkness around you, and I can see blocks in your physical body, a bunch of them. Everything that I do is trying to awaken the person spiritually. In a certain way, the physical healing is almost a side effect of that. And this energy starts to come in and people feel it. A lot of times people feel very tingly or hot or cold when I'm working with them. And then they just start to feel, in the way I said, the thing about this inner smile, they start to feel that and they just know something good is happening.
Right.
Sometimes things don't move as much as I would like. So then I start to check things. And sometimes I wonder like what is blocking there, and I'll get the information. Sometimes I do need to check lists of things that I've learned about that it might be. And if I get to the right thing in my mind, then the energy starts to move and can open that up. Okay. So someone who I've been working with recently, it's been very general. So it's been about a month, and they're saying, well, do you see stuff about this, my liver, this or that? And I say, so far it's just kind of general. The last time I worked with them, I saw it was like an image of like a cocoon, and I heard the word cocoon, and it was like they were opening up, and I saw that. I didn't mention that to them at this time, but then I talked to them today, and he said my energy really opened up. So he was able to do a double shift at work, and he's just enjoying being around people better. And he said my energy didn't drop all day, when normally even to go through an 8-hour day at work, he would have a hard time. So
I need your services, my friend.
Yeah.
I need your services.
Help.
Yeah. And look, we did talk about that, and I am going to do that. Of course, in life, things happen.
No, I understand.
And my family, I'll tell you, it's just, I feel like we've been kicked in the teeth for the past couple of years, starting with a terrible vehicle accident that all 6 of us were in. I had a daughter flown by Lifeline helicopter. I mean, it was just a bad situation. And then I wrecked my motorcycle. And then after that, my truck got flooded out. I mean, the list goes on and on. Crap. I mean, just this major crap show.
Yeah.
I need to get, I don't look, the traditional things of dealing with that stuff. I will not, I don't want to be on medication.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I believe that there's more energy healing. There's more natural, like more stuff that can be done to help clear some of this crap out of my life, so I can move past that. So, and I also believe, and look, you're a Christian, Dustin. How could you feel that anything outside of God can help you? Well, I think that all of this is God. I think all of this is created by God. I think God created this universe to be something so expansive and unbelievable that we can't even fathom what it really is in our own minds. So
as I said, the thing with Jesus is, I mean, he was like the greatest healer, and he did say, that we would be able to do that. And it, in a certain way, what I'm doing is almost like praying for the person, because there's part of it of like, you have to know sometimes a certain amount, and it's like, here's the door. And sometimes you just have to ask for it, and then the door opens. Sometimes you have to go to the door and see what it is, and then it opens. And but it is a gift from God. That's my experience. I know some people would think that's blasphemy to say that, but that is always my experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you are also, like I said, you have a postgraduate degree in advanced ministerial counseling.
Yes.
That kind of counseling. Now, ministry. That's talking about God, right? That's the kind of counseling.
There are certain spiritual principles that that's that in line with, and yes, it is talking about how are you. Yes, one thing in the experiences you're asking, like how is God loving you there, and what is God teaching you? Those are questions that you would ask a lot in that. So everything is in line with spiritual unfoldment in the counseling. You're looking for what is blocking you from loving God more and being more open to God. And, that's really the direction of everything I do.
That's an interesting perspective, Allura. That's definitely an interesting perspective. I mean, I know, again, that's a tough one to get into. There are theories that are out there that say, well, the Bible was only written to keep control of, but the thing of it is when somebody like you has an experience like that and you connect with that type of source, some of those questions just automatically get answered. Would you agree?
Yes. And it's always important to be respectful of that. So you get an answer, but you got to know it's never the full answer, that there's always more. And, a fun part of my story was I was born in a Jewish family. I met the Sufi sheikh who's Islamic, and he started to talk to me about Jesus and Mary. Now, Mary is mentioned as part of Islam, but still, just the essence of those religions are this thing. It is this great love. Even that love does not describe it enough. I can tell you that because we use that word for so many things. It is just this thing that everything's all right. This energy comes in. It feels joyful, enthusiastic. And yes, we do have trials and tribulations, and that's designed to strengthen our resolve in that commitment that I'm talking about. It's work. It is not like sit back. I meditate every day up to 2 hours. And I wish I said I did it 2 hours every day, but I do Tai Chi, I do journal writing, I do other exercise. It is work. And this is not the thing like take it for granted. It is honor and respect yourself, honor and respect those gifts, and be serious about it. Just like you want to be great in anything, that's what you do. You want to be a great athlete. If you have the skills, you work out every day, you practice. You want to be a great painter, a great cook, a great parent. It takes a lot of work.
Absolutely. And that's good to hear you say that, that it's something that, people run into gurus all the time, especially on the internet. There are gurus they're just a dime a dozen. And I think this kind of goes back to what Allura was saying. I mean, and I think she's spot on with this. It's watch who you get the intel from. Okay. Watch where it's coming from, because you don't want to go and just say, oh, this guy is claiming to be an expert. This guy's making these claims. You've got to be very careful where you're sourcing this stuff from. Yeah. So
there's always that thing that you can't really know it all. And what I do is try to awaken that thing in the person. And, a lot of times I'll talk about my own experience, which is I'm still working on it. It's not like I think I have all the answers. Sometimes I feel like I have a answer, but it's still like there's the next step. There's always more. Very important.
Okay. So what's biofeedback, practitioner? Yes. What is that? So what are we doing with this?
There are these electronic devices that I use. There were two different kinds that I've used. One of them I still use. One was something that you hook up to a laptop, actually, and you put a thing around the person's head, around their wrist and ankle, and it basically sends a vibration from your computer of thousands of different items and checks your body's response to it. So it could be vitamin C and see how your body responds. It could be a flu. It could be all sorts of things. And it just kind of tests it electronically, tests your heart rate and how your body's responding to that. The other one is sort of combines electrical stimulation and biofeedback, which is it looks like a TV remote control with some metal things on it where you put it on the skin, and it reads the electrical signals in your body. And then it sends in like electrical stimulation, a little more sophisticated than most electrical stimulation things.
We're not talking about a TENS unit.
It's similar. That's the thing I'm describing it to, yes, but this is way more complicated. So like this little device, costs like $3,000 or up to $6,000 kind of thing, just to give you an idea.
Drop in the bucket.
But it's actually, then you can use it with acupuncture techniques. You can use it. There's something called zone therapy. There's a lot of different it's a very complete system. I don't really do that with clients very much anymore because I'm working online and stuff. So, but I use it on myself. I use it on my daughter all the time. It's really quite miraculous, actually.
Yeah. Gretchen's quick to point out that biofeedback is different than TENS.
Yes,
I was kind of being a little bit of a smartass.
No, but that one device does the readings, and then it sends in a electrical stimulation. It's just a little more complicated. I'm not thinking of the words right now to describe it, but a TENS unit does certain frequencies like this. This thing that does many frequencies. Plus, it's kind of self-adjusting where it's reading the body's what's going on electrically and then adjusting the frequency to work best with it.
Okay. So all the things that you do, we're talking minister, biofeedback, polarity, spiritual. I mean, this is a lot of stuff. Do you use all of it at the same time on one patient? Or, I mean, do you say, well, this type of treatment is going to be good for this type of situation, so on and so forth? How do you use it all and kind of mold it into your practice?
Well, like I said, I don't do the biofeedback with clients anymore because I don't see
doing that online
has to be in person.
Right.
The other part is the ministering and the healing kind of go together. So, but there are a lot of it's intuitive. So the tone of the session can really vary from person to person, but there is a way to check the spiritual and energetic part of pretty much anything. It could be the skeletal system. It could be, mental stuff, emotional stuff. It could be different systems in the body. It could be past lives. That's something people like to hear about. It could be from your childhood. There's just so many things that can check. And, a lot of things that I'll just know intuitively right away. Sometimes I'll ask the person what's going on, and that helps a lot. Sometimes I don't know, and then it is like running
through the checklist,
the list through my head and see where the energy moves.
Okay. So talking about past lives, this is also an interesting topic. Okay. Again, how does that work with Christianity? How does that work with when you die, you go to either heaven or you go to hell? This is what the general teaching is in Christianity. There's one of two places.
Yeah.
Where does all the past life stuff come from? I mean, how can you have?
Yeah, that's definitely from a different tradition. But again, Jesus died, went to heaven, and came back. I mean, that seems pretty much what we're talking about. So inside of me, it just feels fine. So I know I don't know the Bible well enough to know how to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I know. Yeah. But I take the gloves off, man, when I'm doing this because you got to ask this stuff.
To me,
you got to ask these questions. Yeah,
I mean, Jesus is and was the most amazing at doing kind of what I do. So
but again,
he could heal people by knowing this greatness in them and lining them up with it.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't feel a conflict at all with that.
Right. Well, you understand. But again,
I do. I don't have a direct
answer. He's the Son of God. Yes. So he's going to inherently have those things given to him through God, the source. Yeah. So that would just be that's the standard argument against that. I mean, or against it. I'm not trying to be.
I think
negative.
Everyone has a gift of some sort, whatever it is. It could, like I said, it could be art, it could be cooking. I mean, being a parent, man, is probably the hardest job in the world.
Woo, I'm still working on figuring that one out.
Yeah, you don't. Well, that's it. You don't get to figure any of this out all the way. If you think you got it, you don't. And if you're really good at something, you never get it. You're always getting it and getting better at it. So that's my experience, and I'm fine with what other people believe also.
Right. So
totally
what in your opinion then, like if somebody watching this or somebody listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, thank you guys for checking us out over there. What would your best advice be for somebody who's struggling day to day with all kinds of things? It could be, I just lost the light. Look at that. We're talking about this stuff and my light goes off. All right. What's your best advice for somebody? Where should they begin to start with the spiritual healing and things like that?
Yeah. Well, I have basic tools on my YouTube channel that I really suggest. So there's meditation and journal writing are probably the two most important things to start with, I would say, as far as spiritual growth. So.
And Laura, he actually said that earlier. He said that very thing earlier, and that's true. Jesus did say those things. So, when you figure out parenting, please share.
Yeah, well, it is that thing of honoring your children and understanding they know their path better than you do, and you can help them. But you want to do that for yourself too. Know that thing in you knows, and honor and respect yourself. And honor and respect other people too. And
take care of your body. Your body's a temple.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
Take care of your, I can speak from this a little bit, because look, my career, I'm a truck driver and I'm stuck in my truck for many hours a week. Not as many as I used to be. I've cut it back, but it's difficult for people. It's difficult because people have very busy lifestyles. Yeah. It's not easy I don't have 2 hours a day where I can sit down and meditate. I don't have this kind of time. So, what do you, for somebody like me, I'm overweight, I'm having health issues, how can we overcome something like that when we have so much going on impacting our daily lives?
Meditation, you don't have to do 2 hours. I mean, my work is a little different than but I would say start with just a few minutes, and do that and see how it goes. And it really taking one breath of good breath and loving yourself and letting yourself be loved. I mean, it can be done in, I say a few minutes, but it can be done in 1 minute, and you start to do that. It changes your head. You're talking about, I tell people to start exercising, like walk for 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be go to the gym and, work out on the weights for 3 hours. Start walking for 20 minutes. The journal writing, most people are very resistant to doing that. The thing that got me to do really regular journal writing was, so my daughter is a senior in high school now. After her 4th grade year in school, her teacher said to me, it'd be good if she learned how to type, with all her fingers the right way. So I got an app on my Chromebook to learn how to type, because I've been typing like this for all these years.
Hunt and peck. Exactly.
So I start to do it, and every day I'd sit down and practice, mostly to inspire her, which she never did it. She types very fast. She doesn't use just 2 fingers, but she's moving her hands all around. So I started doing that every day. And at the end of the summer, I could type pretty well. And I realized I was enjoying sitting down and learning how to type. So I thought, I could do journal writing every day. So I started doing that. Actually, after that, I realized, this is just like writing my paper for my doctorate that I've been kind of not doing all the way for 10 years. And so I sat down every day for at least a half an hour and did research, and that segued into doing my paper. And then I'm in the habit of sitting down and doing journal writing every day. So.
Well, and that's good. That in and of itself is therapeutic, because you're anything that maybe has like weight on you throughout the course of your day, any negative thoughts, anything that you feel, you could literally just pour it all out to a diary that's not going to judge you.
So I encourage people to do that. It's to know there's something good in you, and see, I look at you, we were talking about, you have this cool look, and the whole thing, your logo there, it's just like a whole cool look and everything. And it's like, this is great, because you could reach a whole different audience. I work with people from, all different places and, different cultures, different religions, different jobs. And sometimes it's, my own kind of prejudice, like, I'm surprised this kind of person is open to this, but everyone is. And then there's just, that thing, there's something in everyone that is really cool. Just that part you got to know.
Do you, what can somebody do? Is it just the journaling? Look, all right, I've been told before, Dustin, you're going to be great. And I have to be honest with you. All right. Yeah. I'm going to open myself up to you right now, and everybody's watching in a way that I don't really do much. Okay. I've always felt somewhere inside of me that I was meant for something big. I don't know what it is. I felt like I mean more than what I'm doing with my life right now. That I feel so unfulfilled in my life, because I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm here for. What's my purpose? how can we find our purpose? How do we figure out what the hell that actually is?
So, well, in a lot of the things you're asking me, when someone works with me, it happens a lot more quickly than doing it themselves. And I talk to someone who does what I do very regularly, because I know it's kind of set up that way. But on my YouTube channel, there's this thing called the ideal inner image. If you do that process, it will guide you to do that. A big part of it is you start with the little pieces of the picture. Like, what is it you like? How do you want to be feeling? And you start building this image of what that is do you like being with people? I mean, I assume you're like me. You like to wear comfortable clothes.
Yes.
These things will start to create a picture for you of what that thing is, because that thing in you that will fulfill you is there. A lot of times other people can see it more than you, because our mind's in there trying to figure it out. But, do you like to write? Do you like to talk? Do you, these things that you like, it's, the funny little things those start with the little things, start with the things you want to feel. I mean, everyone probably wants to feel happy. So that's part of it, that you're feeling happy, that you're wearing comfortable clothes, that you're, you want to be respected. You want to, whatever it is for you.
I want to sleep on my own time schedule.
Okay. Well, being well, that's a good one, because in a certain way, that's not necessarily an internal experience. You might want to feel well rested. Or is it, do you like to work at, are you more of a night person? These are things that put together will start to create that picture that you're
I can tell you this, and this is really about as far as it goes. And I really feel ashamed of myself for not knowing more about this about myself. But for me, I really do enjoy helping people. And I think about it this way. Right? Think about the feeling you would get if you were a millionaire, right? If you're a rich person, wealthy, and you had the ability, you could walk down the street and you could just start handing homeless people some money. Let's get you off the street. Let's do this. Or I can go to a veteran's place and help a veteran who's been dying, who's been in desperate need of having a ramp built on his house. The satisfaction that I would get from being able to do things like that would be out of this world for me. Like that, just helping people overcome things that are challenging for them in their lives. I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. So you probably can start doing that. And you don't have $1 million. So again, the things you're describing are the external experiences. What are the internal experiences? So for me, there's a part of being very nurturing that I've had, luckily I do something with that now. It's like when I was younger, it seemed kind of weird for a man to be nurturing, and I always liked to cook since I'm very young. Now it's kind of a thing men do, but back then it was like, I even took a cooking class in undergraduate school. I was the only man in there, it was all women. So, but follow those things and look. So you want to help people? I'm sure you could find 5 ways tomorrow to help people, and then see what that is, and just see that thing that you want to help people. That's more of the internal part, and you start to follow that and see where it goes. And that's what you do. You follow those things.
We're going to have to dig into this in a session. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to, you're going to have to clear some of the blocks, and we're going to have to start moving past some of that stuff. So
that would be a good idea.
So we can start laying down the foundation and building from there. I cannot believe it. It is already over an hour. Dr. Brock, thank you so much for being here. I sincerely do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Guys, listen, I've had on the bottom of the screen here, you can go to www.laurencebrock.com, or you can check them out on YouTube, youtube.com/Dr. Laurence Brock, TikTok at tiktok.com/@DocBrock. Go check him out, guys. You definitely want to spend some time with him. I'm going to do it, and I'll give you feedback. I will literally come back here, and I'd love to have you back on the show as well.
Oh yeah, I love to do that. Yeah.
And listen, I feel like I've got 100 more questions I could ask you.
And if you want to do something and open it up for people to ask questions, that would be fine too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, I wouldn't shut up long enough to even think about doing that. So here we are. Cool. But yeah, definitely would love to have you back on, and we'll do this again sometime. And I do appreciate it, guys. If you haven't done it, guys, please go to YouTube, and Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. please hit that subscribe button, share the videos out, guys. That really helps us beat those pesky algorithms that we're always up against. So if you could do that, we sincerely do appreciate it. Also, if you haven't gone over to Facebook, you're going to check out BB3 TV. Like and follow that page. Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey, follow that page. 100 other pages, WLFE./DB. Go check this stuff out, guys. There's a lot of different platforms. And if you missed this show live, you can always go to Spotify and YouTube or iTunes and listen to us over there. So thank you so much for being here, guys, and going Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Join us again next Saturday at 8 p.m. and watch the show for Wednesday. I'll put out who our guest is, and we'll go from there. So thanks a lot, guys. Dr. Brock, we sincerely do appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We will definitely look forward to doing this again. So take care, everybody. We appreciate you.